Okay, you guys, it's confession time. Ooh, I don't listen to podcasts. I know. I know. The irony is definitely not lost on me. Trust me. But I'm serious though. Like, I have literally tried long form podcasts. My brain checks out in like 4 minutes. My attention is all over the place. I'm the person who opens 17 tabs, reads half a sentence, and then remembers I left like the blow dryer on running in the other room. That's me. That's your host. But yet here I am. I'm sitting in the studio about to launch a podcast, but with a mission and a microphone, and honestly, freaking level of terror that I did not anticipate. So, how the hell did I get here? How did I get here? Well, welcome to Dear Heather. I'm Heather Godby, and this is the episode where I tell you how a running joke with a few friends turned into literally this. It started with like the most dangerous ideas, just casually. I was venting about either mental health, broken systems, why nobody's taking or talking about the things that actively matter. And someone would inevitably say, "Oh, you sound like you need to start a podcast." But I would laugh every single time because me, the one who can't even listen to podcasts, that's just, I can't even, how am I going to host one? But that idea kept coming back. And eventually it stops being a joke and it starts being, well, your calling. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be sitting here with all of you about to dive fully into a completely new chapter with a vision, a mission, and a studio with actual equipment and people and professionals who know how to use it. Because I definitely don't. But here's what I want you to know right now out of the gate. The vision and the mission, those were always there. Long before there was a podcast, long before there was a name, there was always a feeling, a knowing, a pull that wouldn't leave me alone, like no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. We've all been there. Truthfully, the podcast was never part of the plan, but sometimes the plan isn't actually the plan. Sometimes the universe has different ideas. 20 years of almost. So here's my background. I have over 20 years of marketing experience. Just wrapped up a 12-year run in corporate America, doing marketing at, I would say, pretty high level. And on paper, it looked amazing. The career, the titles, the experience. I should have been, well, fulfilled. And I just wasn't, just never was fulfilled. And there was always something just missing. It kind of in a way of not being dramatic and not being like, I hate my life kind of way. It's just like a quiet, that I had to do something more. And so 20 plus years of mastering a craft, and I never once felt like I was doing the thing I was actually supposed to be doing. I was good at it, really good at it, but being built for something and being ready to do something are two different things. And I tried to fill that void. Trust me, I tried. I went back to school. I got my MBA as a single mom, working full time in corporate. But because maybe that just wasn't right. Maybe one more credential, one more accomplishment, one more line on the resume would make that feeling go away, but it just never, ever did. And so I started rescuing animals, and I love rescuing. That's a whole other conversation. But even that, as beautiful as it was, it just didn't quite heal the side inside of me, heal the thing inside of me that kept saying, there's more. You're supposed to be doing more. The MBA didn't fix it. The career wins didn't fix it. The rescues didn't fix it. That gut feeling of just needing to do more, of being built for something I hadn't found yet, it just would not go away. No matter what I threw at it, nothing worked. I always knew I was built for something different. And I just didn't know what that different looked like yet, but I certainly could feel it. So while I'm sitting in this corporate career that looks perfect on paper but feels hollow on the inside, I start doing what, well, every good thinker does. I start digging and thinking and processing of, why do I feel so much? Why do other people's pain hit me like my own? Why can't I walk into a room and immediately feel energy shift? Why do I absorb everything? Like literally the good, the bad, the stuff that isn't even mine. And that's when I landed on it. I'm a super feeler, a massive empath. And I don't just mean like I'm a sensitive person. I mean my entire nervous system really picks up on the suffering around me. And it's been doing that in my entire life. And it's so crazy because here's the part I don't talk about enough. Carrying all that and other people's pain on top of my own, it comes with a cost. I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with anxiety, and that's the kind of thing that sits with you and doesn't leave. That's the kind of thing when you're smiling at work, but you're falling apart in the car on your way home. Like, I've lost people I love. I carried grief that I didn't have the tools to process, and for a very long time, I didn't even have the language for what I was feeling. I just knew it was so heavy and it was a constant. And I thought something was literally wrong with me. It turns out nothing was wrong with me. I was just feeling like everything in a world that tells you to feel nothing. And I'm going to do a whole episode on what being a super feeler actually means, how it's impacted me as a human being, honestly, how it nearly actually broke me before I could even understand it. And that's just a total deep one. It's coming just straight from the heart. This one, once I understood what I was, everything clicked, because being a super feeler isn't just a personality trait. It's more of a compass. And mine was pointing somewhere I'd been ignoring for, I guess, a really long time. And I didn't even know it. But then I turned 40. Now, I'm not saying that like when you turn 40, it's a magical number where everything suddenly makes sense. It's not that. But I will tell you this, for me, something shifts when you hit a number that makes you do the math. 40 years gone, 40 years maybe left. And if I spend the next 40 the same way I spent the last 40, that deep inner knowing, that quiet voice that's been whispering to me since I was a kid, that would be my silent killer of living the same 40 years the same way I lived the last 40. Now, I know it's not a disease, it's not an accident, it's just a life half lived. And that's so unfulfilling. I wasn't willing to do that. Definitely not for another 40 years, no way. And so I had to make a decision, and it was literally terrifying, you guys, because when you leave a career you built over a decade to chase something that doesn't necessarily have a blueprint, you're putting everything on the line. Your security, your identity, your comfort, like literally all of it is left on the line. But I was thinking, what's scarier than that? And that would be staying. Here's what finally tipped the scale for me. I got so tired of hurting, not just my own pain, but feeling everyone else's. I got so tired of watching people suffer and knowing that there was so much more, and it was so preventable for people to be hurting. That so much of it comes from systems that just don't work anymore, conversations that aren't happening, and a world that tells people to push through instead of actually healing. I was done with that. And so one day I just thought, well, I'm going to do something about this. And I know how that sounds, like, let's fix the world. It's whatever. Said the girl from corporate, right? But hear me out. The only way I know how to fix anything is to communicate, to open up, to share my story, the traumas, the lessons, the ugly parts, the beautiful parts, and honestly, to create a space where other people feel safe enough to do the same. We just don't have that anymore. Because here's what I've learned along the way. Every time someone shares their truth, it gives someone else permission to look at their own. And that's where the healing starts. Not in a doctor's office, not in a prescription, in a conversation. In a literal conversation. That's what it takes. And that's what this podcast is. One giant, ongoing, genuine conversation about what it means to be human and how we can do better. Let me talk you through what we're walking into. Dear Heather lives at the intersection of neuroscience and spirituality, raw human experience, and real solutions. One week I might be talking about neuroplasticity, how your brain can literally rewire itself. The next, we might be exploring consciousness, collective energy, or what angel numbers mean, to me at least. We're going to talk about depression, anxiety, men's mental health, youth mental health, suicide prevention. We're going to interview therapists, neuroscientists, healers, and just everyday humans who have walked through the darkest days and came out the other side. I want to go into the trenches, not just emotionally, but in all ways, to understand it on a scientific level. why our brain does what it does, what frequency and the Schumann resonance actually mean for your body, why quantum physics and spirituality are closer than, well, you think, and what the research actually says and the data is showing, and honestly, what the heart already knows. We're going to confront the systems that aren't working, healthcare systems that literally fail the people that they're supposed to protect, education systems that don't teach us the most important subject of all, ourselves, literally ourselves. So every episode will have an educational element. You're going to learn something, but you're also going to feel something, because that's the whole point of why I'm here. The topics are going to be wide. The range is going to be massive, but the thread that ties it all together, everything comes back to mental health. Everything comes back to self-love. Everything comes back to understanding who we are and why we are here. So here's the part where I ask you for something. Just get curious with me. I'm not here. I don't have all the answers. I'm here to ask the questions for sure that no one's asking, to look at the things nobody wants to look at, to go deep into the stuff that scares us, maybe even terrifies us, and to come out on the other side just a little bit more awake, a little bit more aware, and a little bit more connected to everyone else and ourselves. I'm going to share my journey of self-love. I'm going to share the traumas I've been through. I'm going to get uncomfortably honest. It's going to suck, but I'm going to do it, because comfortable hasn't been working for anybody. I'm inviting you to do the same, not necessarily on a microphone, but in your own life with the people around you. Start the conversation, ask the question, check on the friend who says they're fine when they're clearly not. Look in the mirror and ask yourself the stuff that you may have been avoiding. It could literally be as simple as that. Because this is how that works. Not from the top down, not from some policy change or some viral moment. It's from us right here, one conversation at a time. And I'm not going to pretend I'm not scared. I'm terrified. Like, I literally am terrified. This is the biggest leap I have ever taken in my life. And I'm doing it in front of all of you, which honestly makes it better and worse somehow at the same time. But here's what I know for sure. I would rather be terrified and true to who I am than comfortable in living someone else's version of my life. I'm Heather Godby. I'm a super feeler, a seeker, a corporate marketing veteran who traded her corner office for a conversation that actually matters. I don't even listen to podcasts, you guys, and somehow I'm hosting one? Like, what? Life is so weird, but it's also kind of beautiful when you stop fighting it and you start following like that pull. So follow the show, share this episode with someone who needs a sign that it's okay to change directions, leave a review, tag me on social, and most importantly, get curious about yourself, about the world, about what's possible when we stop pretending everything's fine and start really talking about what's real. Every movement starts with a single conversation, and this one is ours. Let's change the world one discussion at a time. All right, you guys, that's a wrap on this one, but the conversation doesn't end here. It just can't. So here's how you become part of the movement. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Follow the show so you're always in the room when it matters. Drop a review. It's how new people find us. And tag me on social media, because I want to know what hit you, what challenged you, and what you're going to do differently because of it. We're not just talking about change. We're building it one episode, one conversation, one person at a time. I'm Heather Godby. This has been Dear Heather. Let's change the world one discussion at a time.